Okay. I'm so sorry. It seems that the video got cut off. So we're going to do a first part and a second part of this video. So, as I was saying, imagine all the stress or health related factors that impact um, adolescents or high school students' performance in college education, and also how it impacts their primary support system in terms of parents and other caregivers to be able to support them in that journey. And I was giving the example of the stress related to immigration status, right? And the breaking up of families, and the issue of having to find adequate legal assistance to legalize um, your status in the US. So, all those factors play a critical role in how you'll be performing in school. So, you might have, or your parents might have, the best intention. They might be interested and they might desire to support you as a high school and college student. However, it seems that there are other aspects that are generating a lot of stress in our families. The same with employment issues, right? Sometimes there are a lot of financial struggles in the home, and that takes precedence um, to supporting children in education related tasks. I don't think that it's not related to a parent's lack of interest, to a student's lack of commitment, but it's more so to the fact that when you have competing pressures in a family, families are obviously going to choose um, the things that are going to help them survive quickly. I don't know if I'm making sense, but what I'm trying to say is that sometimes, for example, I've had parents that I have worked with, families in clinical settings that, one of the children in the home is underperforming in school. And when I start talking to the family and understanding what are the factors that could be impacting them, I have families that are very committed. However, they are single parents. They are having to juggle multiple jobs. They are, for example, they don't speak the same language, right? The children might be more proficient in English versus the parent might not be as proficient in English. So they have issues supporting the children, for example, with homework completion, and engaging in other school related activities. So things like that, in my experience, what parents end up doing, if I have to worry about feeding my children, if I have to worry about employment security, those things are going to come first on my list versus me worrying about if my kid got an A or a B in an exam, if my kid went with like clean clothes to school. Because in the hierarchy of needs, there are things that are more pressing for families. And I think sometimes in school settings and healthcare settings, we like that sensitivity, right? To kind of understand that when families are put under immense pressures and stressors, that will impact other things that we may consider important, right? As a social worker, as a health professional, you want to make sure that the children are developing well physically, that they are developing well socially, that they are developing well academically. But we also have to kind of understand, okay, with what we have, with the circumstances that we're working with, what is realistic for this family. And I also share this because I think a lot of the times we have um, inadequate expectations from students. Give you a very basic example. Sometimes when I'm working on education achievement plans for my clients, I've encountered plans that are very out of reach or out of touch with reality. So if you're seeing a child that's struggling across grades and you know that it's related not to a learning disability or difficulty, but to stressors in the family and maybe lack of structure, and enough skills and knowledge to do well in school, you cannot expect that person to perform well for the next assignment, for the next activity, for the next exam. You cannot expect them to go from F to A. You have to build it up, right? If you got an F, if she got a D or a C, then we have to see, okay, for the next exam, what is realistic? For the next homework, is it a C if he got a D? Is it a B if he got a C? If the student doesn't turn on any assignments, for example, what can I do? Should I ask them then he needs to be submitting all homeworks for that class, or should we maybe start Okay, so why about for the following week you try submitting at least two homeworks for two classes? So, in a sense, I think part of the issue also is that we don't really cater to the different type of students that we have in terms of difference in culture, difference in knowledge, difference in skill set. We pretty much lump everyone until whatever the Department of Education has determined that it's the standard for children, and we don't really take into account how ethnic, race, religious background, how your experiences of migration, and all sorts of different demographic, socio-demographic variables may differentially impact how we are performing um, in schools. So I think it's again, it's really important that our students not only have the skills that they need. Obviously, there are some skills like knowledge that you need to have in all your classes to be able to successfully complete college. But aside from that, there are other skills that are needed, right? How ready are you for school? I'm sorry, how knowledgeable are you of the school setting? So one thing is the readiness, right? The readiness is, do I have the academic skills that I need to successfully do well in school? In other words, have I taken all the required courses? Do I have the knowledge in basic aspects that I'm going to be obviously doing much more of that in college education? College knowledge is more related to how well do I know to navigate the college environment? How well informed I am of what are the different types of schools, what are the different types of colleges, what is college education, and finally we have the issue of accessibility, right? And that's more related also not only to the issues again of readiness and knowledge, but also, do I have the supports around me that motivate me, that kind of help me or support me in getting access to school, right? In accessing adequate college education that is tailored to my needs. And we've seen a lot of variations in terms of mentoring and guidance, culturally appropriate guidance for Latino parents and students. Again, taking into consideration not only language variations, but cultural variations in how to convey education related information to parents. So I'm going to cap it off here because I've been talking a little bit too much, but I'm hoping this somehow helps you reflect on the importance of providing culturally appropriate resources to adolescents, high school students, and families, and also have realistic expectations based on their current situation and past history so that we don't set people for failure. Because overall, what we should strive for is to kind of make sure that everyone, given their set of skills, given their knowledge, given their strengths and resources, is able to do well with what they have. And what they don't have, then we need to find adequate mechanisms to build that and strengthen that. So that said, I'm going to let you go, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of the week. Bye bye.